Welcome to Power Lunch Live. I'm Rhett Power, your host. Sorry, we're having a little technical difficulties on this end, but the technology gods finally let us get the program on the air. So they were kind to us. The point of the show is to have today's thought leaders, best-selling authors, amazing people who are doing amazing work that can help us get better at what we do. That's the reason we do the show. We want to learn from the best of the best. And today I am excited to have somebody that I admire. I admire her work, and I think we're all going to learn a lot from her today. Now, the fun part about the show is that it's interactive. You can ask us your questions. You can get on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and probably something else I'm forgetting. And we'll monitor those feeds. And if you ask your questions, we'll have that dialogue so that you can get to the answers that you want to get to. If you like the program, give it a like or share so that your network can benefit from these conversations as well. That would be a nice thing to do. Today, we're going to talk about designing the life that you love. I've got Ayse Birsel. She is one of Fast Company's most creative people and is on the Thinkers 50 radar list of the 30 management thinkers most likely to shape the future of organizations. She is the author of Design the Life You Love. Ayse is recognized as the #1 coach in life design by Marshall Goldsmith's leading coaches. She gives lectures on designing the life and work you love and is the co-founder of Birsel and Sec, the award-winning design and innovation studio that consults with Amazon, Colgate, Palmolive, Herman Miller, GE, IKEA, the Scan Foundation, Staples, and Toyota, and many, many more. And I want to ask her about her work at the Museum of Modern Art at MoMA. I want to ask her about that too, and how much of an honor that must have been to have her work in the museum. Ayse, welcome.
Rhett, thank you. Thank you for that great introduction as well.
Well, it's an honor to have you, and I appreciate taking some time. I know we're all crazy busy, and I've gotten to know you a little bit through our fellowship with Marshall Goldsmith and the 100 Coaches, and found some of your work really just fascinating and really timely. I don't know if you wrote the book. I know you didn't write the book for these times that we're in now, but it seems very, very, a very good time to think about your life and reevaluate things. Let me ask you a few questions. Obviously that's why we're here, to ask questions. So,
I have a question for you, Rhett. Can you hear all the noise that my daughter is making in the background?
Yeah, but that's okay. You know, we're in COVID times, and noises and cats and dogs and children, and
I know
is all good.
I just waved her away. So
okay, really, it's okay.
It's like mom is yet on another call. It's okay.
I interviewed a guy for an article yesterday. His whole company is he's got an animal farm, and he brings animals on Zoom calls, and he's had over 300 bookings in the last 3 months of people who want to bring sheep and cows and goats and all kinds of stuff as sort of light, they just for fun on the Zoom calls. So I think that I thought that idea. That was creative. So noise and other stuff, no big deal.
Thank you. Okay.
So what worries you right now, and what gives you inspiration during this pandemic?
Yeah, Rhett, that's a great question. It's kind of the same thing. The two sides of the coin. The things that worry me and inspire me are one and the same. So, it's almost like, oh my God, I'm like sheltering in place, and then turn around and go, oh my God, I'm sheltering in place. I don't have to travel. So it's
right.
Or we were joking with my husband and partner, Bibi, yesterday, Bibi Sek, and we were saying the constraint is, we can't go out. The great news is the kids can't go out. Therefore, we know where they are at all times. Yay.
those are the things that you sort of uh, perpetually worry about. I know I've got teenagers now, right? And it's just, as they get bigger, your concerns don't go away; they just get larger, right? They can just get more trouble. But you have to, I guess, you have to let them go at some point. You have to let them go out there and explore the world themselves. But it is nice to have them home. That is for sure.
Exactly. For now, we're just worrying about that, but at the same time enjoying the fact that they're here, and our lives have become really one.
What are you doing? What are you guys doing to sort of for creativity, right? What are you doing for that part of? Because I'm getting to know you a little bit. You're a very creative soul, right? A very creative person. And what are you doing to sort of give yourself some of that, when you can't go out and go to a show or go to the arts or go to a museum, or what are you guys doing at home that helps you feel like you're creating?
So you're absolutely right. I mean, I'm an industrial designer. I design products. That's my expertise. And I've designed everything from toilet seats to office systems to concept cars, you name it. And when COVID started and we started sheltering in place, the thing that really helped me was to think creatively, because when I'm drawing and I'm ideating and I'm sketching, time and place cease to exist. I'm just floating. And I found that really helps me get out of my head. And then building on that, I thought about, like you mentioned, Marshall Goldsmith, and we're both members of Marshall Goldsmith 100 Coaches. When all this started, Marshall's first reflex was to set up a daily call so that anyone that's part of his community could call him up, and like we could just go through this together as a community. And he said, really, my goal is if I can help one of you, that's enough for me. And that really gave me an invitation. And I thought, what if I do the same thing? And I reached out to my Design the Life You Love community, and we started doing these virtual teas. And I started doing that thinking, okay, I want to help someone like Marshall if I can help one person. And then guess who that whole virtual tea really helped? It helped me. I mean, it's the highlight of my week. And we've been doing it. I think we're now in our 10th or 11th episode. And it's a great way to connect with people. And we use that time to think creatively about our life. It's called the New Normal edition, and that's what we've been doing. And really, we collaborate, we think differently, and that gets me out of my funk.
Well, I have to say, I went to one a couple of weeks ago, and I mean, you've had some great people. You had Julie Rosenberg on last week, I think, and I went to one about how to pivot, and that was fantastic. And so what we'll have to do is I want to put a link in the notes here after the show of how they can find out about your, if that's okay. I don't want to overstep there, but I'd love to put a link so people can join your tea.
Yeah. It's for everyone. You don't need to be a designer to design your life, and people who've done it across the world from ages 13 to all the way to 90 plus. So anyone, their kids and their parents are welcome to join us. And actually, one thing that we've been noticing is people bring their parents now, and so they create together, which is a lot of fun. And I was going to tell you, Rhett, I was listening to your LinkedIn Live with Chester Elton, our friend. Oh, yeah. Chester was one of my first guests on the virtual tea. And that was, he taught us about how we can be grateful. And then we took that and we turned that exercise into a drawing exercise. So now we ask people what are you grateful for, and you write it, but then you have to also draw it. And it's just a great way to think left, right brain.
I love that. Yeah, Chester's a lot of fun, but I love that extra. I loved how you turn that into an exercise. That's fantastic.
Thank
I'd
you.
like
And I
to
love
try
your
that.
podcast with, or LinkedIn Live with Chester. I would highly recommend everyone to listen to that. I mean, I think gratitude right now is one of the really saving graces at knowing to be grateful for things.
Yeah, I think this has all taught us, slowed us down a little bit so that we can think about. I know in my own sort of way, it's certainly made me grateful for a lot of things that sometimes, when you get busy and you get, we're all on airplanes all the time, we're all traveling a lot, and we're working hard, and we're doing things, and I think sometimes it's very easy to get caught up in all of that, and
Yeah.
this has certainly sort of put life and what's really important in that perspective, I think, and that I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a really good point. What inspired you to write the design the life you love? I mean, where did that come from in you?
So the story starts with another crisis, actually, when the economy downturned in 2008. A lot of our clients took their work in-house, and I found myself with a lot of time in my hands and didn't know what to do. And in that space, turning a constraint into an opportunity, as designers do, I thought, okay, why don't I use this time to think about how I think? Because, and at that moment, one of my friends, Leah Kaplan, she stepped in and really encouraged me. And she said, Ayse, you think differently. So capture that. And so what I did is I mapped out how I think. I mean, 20 years of expertise in designing award-winning products. There is a methodology to it. It was just inside of me. And I tried to bring that out, map it out, write about it. And then from that developed my design thinking process, deconstruction, reconstruction. And once I had that, I've always believed that our life is our biggest design project. So it was kind of like a natural match of like, okay, here's a design process and here's my biggest project. Can I apply the process to my life? And I was my first student, actually. I tried it out and created these exercises, tried them out myself. And then another friend of mine, Shirley Moulton, who leads Academy of Life, asked me to do a workshop. And that's how we got started.
What is when you talk about reconstructing and deconstructing your life, what does that mean, and what does it look like? I mean, because it seems scary. So.
It's actually it's not as scary. I know it sounds scary, but when the whole idea is, we get set in our ways, and we have kind of our habits and preconceptions of how things are supposed to be, because those things save us time. And but deconstruction is all about taking something and breaking it into its parts. And so as you break it into its parts, you're also breaking the preconceptions, all the automatic thinking that you might have about this thing goes with that thing. And so when you break it into its parts, that frees you up. Quite the opposite of being scary. It frees you up to think about, okay, maybe I don't need this part. Maybe I can put this part together with that part. And by the way, I need another part. And so you put it back together. And it's a very, I think what makes a difference and makes the process actually quite positive is the framework of it is thinking like a designer. And thinking like a designer is, first of all, thinking with optimism. no matter how hard the problem, we think we're going to come up with a better solution. And that optimism is necessary to go towards the future. And we're empathic. So I encourage people to have empathy for themselves and to have empathy for each other. We think holistically. When you see the big picture, you can make new connections and see new patterns. And that's very useful in developing new ideas, whether it's for your life or for products. It's collaborative, so we build on each other's ideas. And then it's open-minded. You ask, what if? So you don't have to do anything, but you can think about it. So what if I moved to a new city? What if I started a cooking club? It's just a what if. And you know this, but I just want to share the fact that Marshall Goldsmith 100 Coaches, Marshall's legacy project, started with him coming to my workshop and asking that what if question. What if? It's a good way to start a new dialogue with yourself and with others.
Is that so? I mean, I find that really fascinating in a lot of different ways, because I think we're all asking ourselves a lot of what if questions right now.
Yeah.
Is the process
right now is a great deconstruction moment, right? Everything is being deconstructed. So the best thing to do is to have optimism and empathy and put it back together. Reconstruct it yourself before it reconstructs you. In a funny way. It's very serious, but in design, all serious problems need a little bit of humor and playfulness, because it allows you to kind of think differently. But this is the great opportunity to redesign your life, this moment.
I was talking about that this morning. I was on a media call, I was on a panel discussion this morning, and I was talking about it. They asked, what's one piece of advice I would give to businesses right now? And my thought was, and what I said was, I remember the day one that I went into my business, and it was full of possibility. There were no rules, there were no processes, there was nothing except that feeling of, got to do whatever I need to do to survive, and I'm going to make this up, and I'm going to create this. And I thought back to that day, and then I thought to year 10, when we had processes and we had a way of doing things, and we had a culture, and I'm thinking this is a great time as a business leader, and bringing it back from the personal to the business now for just a second. This is a time to go back to that day one thinking and saying, let me reconstruct essentially how I'm thinking about my business. But I think this is, like you were saying, I think this is a time to do that for your personal life too. Yeah. And reevaluate those. And is the process, can you talk about that process? Because you have a 4-step process for this.
Yeah. And the process is one you could use for your life and you personally, and you could use it for your organization as a business leader, for your teams, and for your business. And we do both. So it's like you could take deconstruction, reconstruction, and look at it from an organizational perspective or an individual perspective. And that's the beauty of design thinking as a process, is whatever you put at the center of it, it will help you think differently about it. And so the 4 steps are, you deconstruct something. Imagine like you have Legos, right? When you deconstruct it, you're like, okay, I have these parts, and some of them are square and some of them are rectangular, some of them are wheels, but you look at what you have. And so the second step is point of view. How can you see those things differently? And how could you gather inspiration? So how could you look at the parts and pieces of your life and decide, maybe in this moment, which parts are essential to you, which parts are nice to have, which parts maybe you could, this is a great moment to get rid of, and which new parts you can use. And the same thing you could do for your organization, like what's essential about your organization, what's nice to have, what are things you can't currently have in this moment, and then what are new things you can bring in. And then reconstruction, which is the third step, is making choices, because design is also the science of making choices. You can't have everything. So which are the pieces that matter most, and together create the best combination. It's almost mathematical in how you can create permutations of ideas. And that's the beauty of design, in that it allows you to look at not one solution, but 10, 20 different ways of combining things, and then seeing which one rises to the top. And once you have that idea, the essential ingredients that are really exciting to you, that are the beginning of a new life project or are the beginning of a new business value, then you express it. And you express it in different ways. It could be, in your life, it could be a vision map, it could be a to-do list, and in your business, it could be a new service, it could be a new product, it could be a new strategy. Rhett, I want to just quickly give an example of like what's happening in the restaurant business, right? Yeah. I live in New York, Midtown. I mean, one of the pleasures of New York is going to a restaurant, and but they've gotten completely deconstructed, right? It happened to them, and where restaurants were gathering places, we're not gathering anymore. So obviously, if you were to deconstruct a restaurant business, the first thing you would take out is that gathering capability. Okay, people can't gather in this time. So what are you going to do? You look at the other pieces. They're experts in food. They're experts in sanitation, because they have to be A grade in terms of their food handling. Right. They know how to procure good stuff, whether it's food or toilet paper or detergents, and they're trusted neighborhood brands. So some restaurants put themselves back together as a grocery store, the neighborhood grocery store. Some restaurants put themselves back together as a takeout place without any gathering. Some restaurants are experimenting with becoming teaching cooking online. So yeah. These are all different ways of reconstructing yourself around your essentials, which is knowing how to cook and prepare food and food culture, and then accepting and leaning into some things you can't have, and that in design, the constraints are also our opportunities. So sometimes the best thing you could do is lean into what you can't have and then drive towards a new solution.
Right, and that's a great example, and I think we see, as sad as we see, and there's a lot of heartbreak and there's a lot of pain that's happening, but these stories of these companies and these small businesses that are transforming themselves in unique ways that they hadn't even thought of 2 months ago, I think is inspiring in a lot of ways, right?
I totally agree. I mean, there is a lot of hardship and heartbreak, and you can take two attitudes towards it. One is, and I actually find myself going back and forth between the two ends of the spectrum, where I'm very hopeful and I'm very pessimistic in the space of a day, even an hour. But I do strive towards being the optimist, because when you're thinking optimistically and trying to change constraints into opportunities, you're actually going towards new ideas, new solutions, asking what-if questions. In the moments that I let myself go into like, this is too hard, I find that it's very hard for me to do anything constructive. So that's a constant struggle, but we're going to come out of it. We're going to have new businesses. We are going to have new sources of income. And we're going to be inoculated for uncertainty. You know, I think we're going to become much better at managing uncertainty and change, and much better at being learners, because everything we know has gone out the window. You know, it's.
Yeah. So design. I mean, you just said something really interesting, and I hadn't thought about it. And I mean, we designed. My company was a toy design company, but I hadn't thought of it. But design really is coming from a place of optimism, isn't it? You have to be in that frame of mind to design and to create. I mean, it's coming from a place of optimism. So I understand what you're saying. I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me.
And that drive, what I love about design, it's at the service of people. If you ask a designer, what really excites them is, can I solve a problem and make somebody's life better? So that's optimism. And it's also, it always has to have a problem. You can't design if there's no problems or challenges. So it's kind of this optimistic approach to problem solving. The two go hand in hand.
Do you think that going through this process, when you talk about the original life, having an original life, what do you mean by that? And going through this process, does it lead to you having leading more of a life you love, and I guess more by design as opposed to letting things happen to you? I mean, is that what you mean by that?
So, Rhett, what I learned, probably the biggest thing I learned from teaching people how to design their lives using design process and tools, and doing that with thousands of people, is seeing how it allows them to transform their life. And the transformation can be small or big. But what I've learned is, as people, we're extraordinarily creative. But we don't always use that creativity because we don't have a process. And all I do is I provide a process for people, and then I get out of the way and let them think through their life, and really breaking your life, gathering inspiration, then putting it back together. At a minimum, what it does is it gives you intention. It gives you a sense of, okay, well, this is my life. I assume it. And beyond that, it gives you a sense of, you make choices, and so it gives you a sense of what's important to you. And it really is about, we all have a life. It's not like our life stops, right? It just gives you an opportunity to rejigger things and redesign things so that you have a vision around what matters to you. And it's really connected to your values, because you need to make choices. How are you going to make choices? The choices come from your values, and that comes from who you are as a person. And that's what I mean by having an original life. There's no one other person like you. You're your own person, and you're the user of your own life. So if you have your values and you can connect your life decisions to your values, what you do is you really live the life that is unique to you. And that's all it is. It doesn't mean that it's this original life that is a crazy life. It simply means, hey, honesty is important to you, and then you realize that you have a chance to look at, well, how can I show up as honest? How does it show up in how I talk? How does it show up in how I'm with my family? It's simply that dialogue. And then the more you do that, the more who you are and the kind of life you live become intermeshed. And I said that I'm my own first student, in designing my life as a test helped me realize that I am an introvert, but to do the things that I want to do, I need to be an extrovert at times. And I actually imagine myself as a tree. One of the exercises is using metaphors to think about your life. And when I thought to myself of my life as a tree, I thought to myself, well, if I'm a tree, I need to give fruit. I need to help plant other trees. And to be able to do that, I need to write books. I need to speak. I need to teach. Everything that an introvert doesn't want to do. But hey, either be an introvert. In that case, sit at home and read.
Right.
Or be an introvert. And be here with Rhett and be excited about maybe there'll be one person that'll listen to you or hear you and it'll help with something in their life. That's it. So it helped me make peace with my own life and the things I need to do. And I think that's what designing your life is really all about.
That's hard to argue with that. And I think I'm often surprised in my coaching and my business advising practice that a lot of people struggle, and a lot of leaders struggle with knowing their purpose and understanding what they want and what they value and what their core values are in relation to not only their personal life but the business. And so I think I love this. This gives you a process to start thinking about that and breaking that down into and evaluating where you are and where you really want to go and trying to get a plan to get there. I really love that. What is I'm gonna switch gears for a second, and I want to ask you, what are you the proudest of? A piece of work or something that you've done or someone you helped that makes you just smile? And I guess proud's the wrong word. What of all the things that you've done, when you think about it, it just makes you smile? What?
Yeah, I think, what makes me laugh are my two daughters, and but what makes me smile is, I think, in a very general sense, this notion of teaching people how to design their lives makes me smile. And in that, it makes me smile because it's so simple. It's you, your life, and the design process. And it's so elegant. It doesn't require anything else. And it's really, I think, in that way, it's pure design. And I've designed many products, and I've designed many services, and I continue to design many products and many services.
Right.
But there's always an intermediary. It's the product. There's between me and the end user, there's a product, there's a service, there's a brand. Versus here, it's the only thing is the process. It's me with another person and then a design process. So I really, that makes me smile, and just how pure that can get, No,
that makes a lot of sense. I love the word pure because it doesn't have focus groups, and it doesn't have teams of other people on the other side saying, well, I don't like this curve or that line or that function. There it's one-on-one, and you're trying to help somebody really change their lives in a huge fundamental way. And I think that I get why that makes you smile. I understand that.
It also is incredible in terms of the empathy it creates. So we just finished a year-long research and co-design project with the SCAN Foundation, and now Alive Ventures, which just launched. The process was co-designing with people who are 65 years and older, and giving them the tools of designing your life as a way to listen to them and to learn from them. And it was just, that also makes me smile, because I learned so much about people who are older and how amazing they are. These really
Yeah.
cool people. And instead of having assumptions about what they need or want, it really taught me and my team, how they think and how creative they are, and what a thrill it's been to hang out with them. And we learn from them that our life, no matter what your age, we are kind of looking for the same thing. So it was kind of like a life lesson. Their gift to me was teaching me that in life, no matter what your age, you want love, you want work and purpose, you want vitality and feeling alive, and you want friendship and connections. And
Yep.
those are the four essential things about your life. And so basically the lesson there was, we're same, but we're different, because how we can get to those things is different. So so that also makes me smile, that we're all the same.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has been fantastic. And I look forward to having you back on to talk more, because I think we could dive into a lot of those subjects even deeper. And an hour is just not nearly enough. So, so thank you for being here today, spending some time with us here on the Power Lunch. And we did get some questions, but I was stingy and I didn't get to asking them. Sorry about that, guys. But anyway, thank you so
What
much.
we can do is, if the questions are on your LinkedIn comments, I could go in and just type in some thoughts that come to my mind.
I'm getting a note. I'll direct you this afternoon to where those are, so we can do that, and we can get to those. But thank you so much, and thank you again for being here. We'll be back here in about 15 minutes. I've got another show coming up, and you guys have a great day.
Bye, everyone. Thank you, Rhett.